Hi everyone, my name is David Webster and this is a demonstration of Rolemaster Combat Minion. This is a web app for the Rolemaster role-playing game. The whole idea of this software is to help GMs, Games Masters, during combat encounters. Now those of you who play Rolemaster know that combat means looking up dozens of tables in Rolemaster as well as a lot of record keeping. That is tracking the hits and power points and wounds of the combatants. This software is meant to do away with all of that so that it does all of the hard work for you. So how does it work? Well, the software itself is made up of 4 panels. So we've got a global actions panel here. Here's where you can start a new encounter. You can look at the current encounter log. At the moment it's empty, just round 1, we'll have a look at that later, and roll dice. Once you're in an encounter, these are the actions you can take. It's within the encounter actions panel. So you can end the round, you can roll initiative, go to the next initiative actor, and attack. So you've got the round number here, who has actually got an initiative, and the attacker defender. The last 2 panels are for the PCs, the player characters. So here's an example party we'll be using here. The names of the party are down here and their level, armor type and so on. Their hit points, max and current, as well as all their wounds. Those of you who play the game will recognise these abbreviations: hits per round, penalty, lost initiative and so forth. Same for the NPCs and creatures and monsters. So we're just using an example goblin party here for demonstration purposes. You'll also note that one of the characters and some of the creatures are already wounded. So for example, goblin number 4 is already stunned with 2 rounds of stun. Goblin number 2 has lost 1 round of a nit and so forth, just for demonstration purposes. But enough of this, let's get straight into a combat encounter. So we're already on round 1, so the first thing to do is roll initiative. So click the initiative button. Up pops the initiative panel. The PCs appear at the top, followed by the creatures, monsters. The computer rolls for all characters. Incidentally, our group uses D100 for initiative, but that's configurable. It can be 2D10 or whatever you wish. So to the dice roll is added the character or creature's init modifier, plus the GM overrides for any miscellaneous situational modifier. Now, anywhere in the software where there's an input field like this, the GM can simply override. So typically the PCs may wish to roll themselves for initiative. So for example, Snarkle might roll a 70. The GM simply types that in and all of the totals are adjusted dynamically. Let's just say he's also got a weapon modifier for initiative, longer weapon, and so on. You'll also notice here that one of the characters, the goblin number 2, has lost initiative. So although they get to roll, they're really only rolling against other characters that have lost initiative. So goblin number 2 will definitely be last in the initiative sequence. If you need to re-roll initiative, there's also a button to do that. If we're happy with that, we save that initiative for the whole round. And it's telling us that Snarkle won initiative. He's the first actor out of 14. Typically we will now select him as the attacker. So Snarkle is a PC. We click his name, he becomes the attacker. And let's just say he's attacking the goblin leader. Click the goblin leader and click the attack button. Up pops the combat panel and it's telling us that this is Snarkle versus the goblin leader. This panel has 3 sub-panels. There's the attacker panel, the defender, and most importantly the dice rolls and attack results at the bottom here. Now the software saves the most recent weapon or attack for each character, so you don't have to type it in if they're making the same attack. So in this case it knows Snarkle is using a battle axe with an OB of 65. Of course this can be changed at any time if they are changing the weapon. It's got a very nice little combo box here with all of the grouped weapons, so ranged weapons and directed spells and so forth, which you can choose very easy. We'll leave Snarkle with his battle axe. The GM also chooses situational modifiers, such as, for example, whether the defender has a facing, a flank, rear flank, attacker might be parrying with a certain amount of parry and so forth. We'll just leave it as the default. Similarly for the defender, might have some cover, for example. If the defender is stunned or down or helpless, that will automatically be chosen here, but the GM can override it as well. Now again, the computer rolls for all combatants, but if it's a PC, typically they will want to roll themselves, so they can just override the attack roll here. Let's just say it's 67, for example. So to that 67 roll, the computer adds the 65 attack, subtracts the 40 defense for an adjusted total of 92. Now, of course, the great thing about the software is that you do not have to look up the tables, the hard copy tables yourselves. So the weapon tables and crit tables are all installed in the software. So it's telling us that on the battle axe table, a 92 versus armor type 8 is a 15B/. You can then roll the crit table. Again, being a PC, the GM will typically override it. Let's say a 77 was rolled by Snarkle. And up comes the crit narrative from the table. Now, the actual wounds to be inflicted to the defender on the right-hand side here, what the software does is it tries to extract the numeric wounds from the crit narrative. It does a pretty good job of passing this text, but the GM must always check because there's obviously quite a bit of variation in the way it's worded. So let's check this one, for example. It's saying that the foe is at -30, so there's our -30 penalty, and takes 3 hits per round. There's the 3 hits per round. Stunned and unable to parry for 2 rounds, which is there, and +6 hits. So the total hits is 15 from the weapon attack, +6 is 21, so it all looks correct. The final form down here is the defender final condition. So after these wounds are applied, this is what the defender will look like, 29 hits and so forth. Now again, these are form fields, so the GM can override anything they wish. So if this is supposed to be 3 rounds of stun, that will be adjusted straight away. If everyone's happy with the result of that attack, you apply it to the defender, so apply save. And that goblin leader is now stunned with what we've put in 3 rounds, -30 penalty, 3 hits per round, and a lot of hits. So typically that is the way an attack works, and to continue the round you just go to the next actor by clicking the next actor button. So here's your Tumbo. So what we might do now is some really quick attacks just to get a couple in here. So your Tumbo might attack goblin number 3. Let's choose a weapon for him. Let's just say he's got a broadsword with an OB of 34. Let's say it's a flank attack. We'll leave it like that. He rolls a 78, that's fine. And it ends up on the broadsword table, 97 versus armor type 8, etc. And we'll just apply that without reading it, just to make it nice and quick. Next actor. Well, it comes up with Goblin Leader, but he is stunned. For completeness, it comes up with all characters in the list, and it's just a matter of clicking through them. Goblin 1, let's attack with Goblin 1 against, say, Ilhani here. His club with an OB of 50 does 2 points. So there's a few attacks done already. What we might do is just end the round there, although we might just go through all of the initiative first. So clicking each one in turn, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and you'll see Goblin number 2 was the one that actually had lost a nit prior to that round, so he is definitely last. Let's end the round now. To do that, we just click the end round button. It asks us if we're sure. Now again, the great thing about the software is that it automatically does all of the end of round upkeep for you. So what this log is showing us is that nothing happens to the PCs, but there's quite a few things change for the creatures, the goblins. So it's saying that Goblin Leader, the stun with no parry, is going from 3 rounds to 2. His hits are going from 29 to 26 from that 3 hit per round. The goblin that did have lost a nit has now come down to 0, so he's no longer got that, and so on. Now we're up to round 2. So on round 2 you would typically go through the initiative again. You would roll initiative, make adjustments, save it. This time it's telling us that Fakar has 1 initiative. So let's just do one more attack quickly. Fakar is actually going to do a shock bolt, which is his normal mode of attack. Shock bolt with a, let's say he's got a 56 directed spell bonus, ends up doing 3. Alright, so the other thing I wanted to show you was the encounter log. This is quite useful because it gives you an entire log, a tracking of everything that happened during the entire encounter, starting from round 1. So from round 1 you can see that we rolled initiative. It also gives you a timestamp for everything that happened. So I'm actually doing this at 1 AM in the morning, as you can see. So initiative in sequence for round 1, followed by everything that happened. So Snarkle attacked the goblin leader with his battle axe, and it gives you a summary with all of the rolls and the wounds and so forth. It says what happened at the end of round 1, and then we go on to round 2 and so forth. So you can look back and see exactly what happened for the entire encounter. There's also, this is not part of the combat itself, but you can also roll dice for perception, movement, maneuver and attack. I won't dwell on this at all, but it's just a really convenient way for the GM to roll any of those really commonly occurring dice rolls that we often do during Rolemaster. Now I'll finish this video here and follow it up with a second video which explains how the character creation and editing happens. So goodbye for now.